Welcome back, everybody. Conquer Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Cooke. I'm joined here by the one and only Jason Leiden, along with Ryan Bucentini. Welcome in, guys. We got some pretty hot topics for you today. Got a couple of hot takes we're going to dive into. Hope you'll stay with us for the whole time. Fellas, how we feeling?
Why didn't Ryan get the one and only Ryan Bucentini?
Is this a respect
That's
thing?
fair.
I don't know. I don't know.
What the fuck do you mean?
He's about to
Damn it.
hammer you on your program.
Damn it. I didn't see where that was going.
Well,
I normally can see that kind of stuff
that's what
coming,
you
but I didn't see
decided
that
to
coming.
come out with. It's
Well,
a respect thing.
Yeah.
Of
Well,
all
I
the
was-
things you
my
could have
man-
said.
I don't know, man. I just feel like this is kind of Jason's party. I'm just kind of here. Yeah, I'm now. Is it hot? Is it hot here? Warm.
Hey,
Macy's
have you tried
Florida.
it? Have you tried a sumo orange yet?
I haven't, but I haven't. But my wife bought some cuties the other day, and I was like, "Sweetheart, have you ever? We need to talk about a bigger thing."
Yeah.
It didn't go well. We didn't buy any. No, so I haven't had one yet. But the one you
What'd
sent me
you-
the other day was pretty girthy.
You said the bigger hog with the knob, right? Is what you called it.
Hog with a nipple, I think was what we
Hog
actually
with a
talked
nipple.
about. Yeah.
Speaking of
hog with a nipple.
hogs, speaking of hogs, do you guys watch Game of Thrones?
I've
course.
never seen Game of Thrones.
Okay,
You could be a character in that.
I know.
there is a spinoff called The Knight of Seven Kingdoms or The Knight for Seven Kingdoms or something like that.
It's new, right?
Yes, there's a scene in episode 2. It's an old knight. He sucks as a knight. He's an old guy, 65. He's about to be dead. Full frontal.
Camera.
I swear to God, it was a fire hose hanging down for his leg. I had to
You pause it?
I had to
Be honest.
pause
Did you
it.
pause it?
Yes, I paused
Yeah,
it.
he
I was
paused.
like, this has to be a prosthetic. It was so big. And then my thought went into no girl or guy is going to enjoy that. Like that's how big it was. It was this Owala water bottle hanging between his legs. Now, when I say hanging, that should give an indication that it was that size, not excited. You know what I'm saying? Imagine he gets that thing revved up, what it looks like.
Absolute hammer.
Does
I
it,
was like, I talked to my wife and I'm like, look at this thing. I'm like,
does
take a
it
look
get
at this.
awkward? Like, you pause the TV, you guys are sitting on the couch, you're snuggling, everything's great. Do you just like pause and then kind of look at each other and you're like, I can't even,
God bless him.
I got nothing.
You know what? No, because she was like, that's not even, she's like, I would turn that away. It's like, not even fun. Nothing happening with that. I was like, okay. All right. It would get weird, right? If I had to pause and I was staring at it and my son walked in the room.
That would be
That
Dad,
was
what the-
super awkward.
He'd be like, Dad,
Yeah.
what the?
yeah, what's going on? And then,
Yeah.
you know what you do? You bring him over. Son, come here and look at this thing. Come here. Get
Come
in here.
here.
Let me
Let
show
me-
you something, son.
Let me teach you. Let me talk to you about
Yeah,
reality.
Hey,
Is
my
that how
elbow
it goes
joint.
down in the Cooke household?
Well, my son's 3, so he doesn't get it yet, but he will at some point. Yeah, and I'm going to tell him. Have you seen the Will Ferrell thing where he says, let the boy walk?
No.
I'll send you both. Now it's weird, but I will send you both the videos later.
Have you guys ever seen, I think I sent it to you guys. I hope to God I did. Sam Rockwell skit in The White Lotus when he's going off about Thailand. Have you guys seen that skit?
I've not.
Never
Ryan?
even heard of it.
Listeners out there, I don't know for the sake of these ears if I could repeat the skit, but I'm
Yeah,
going to
we
send it
lost
to you
D
guys.
already. Yeah.
Oh, we lost
D
already?
Oh, dude. We were talking about the hammers earlier. She's out. She's out.
I gotta send you the skit. It was genius what he did in this skit and how he went on about life and what he envisions and who he became and why he became it. And Thailand is a place, so just let your imagination run wild.
Yeah. I could see that. Maturing early.
Experimentation.
I heard an interesting statistic that if you're lacking, GLP-1s give you a pretty sizable boost.
We talk about male excitement.
Male enhancement.
Can we just say boner? Can we say boner?
Can we say boner? Was boner one of them?
Boner is a name,
Boner's
right?
fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
boner's
boner's
fine.
fine.
I think
Wait,
boner's.
What do we have like an approved list, Tyler? Is that what you're asking?
No, well, I'm just.
Tyler's
I think
our
boner
HR.
is appropriate. Yeah, I'm HR. I'm the guy.
Like,
I'm
is
like,
the
come on.
FCC going to come down? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just seeing who I can rage bait or who I can get on a GLP.
I was
The
about to
title of
place
this
an order for
Conquer
Red
Athlete
Shoe Tide.
podcast is boner.
I mean, of all the things we could say, that's pretty tame.
Boner's tamed, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Shocking.
Yeah, they got to click on it. Someone's got to click on it, just to at least see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Jay, Ryan, and Tyler talk boners. That is definitely the top
Getting some views.
title of today.
Mm.
Getting some views.
Did you guys see what's his name? The bat, the negative, calling people out guy.
Hiller?
Hiller. Did you guys see Hiller's video on Will Moore as muscle ups?
No.
I saw it. I haven't listened to the whole thing, but I saw it pretty quickly. And
It's actually pretty
Yeah.
funny because Will Moore did like max set of unbroken muscle ups, but he's like not locking out. So he was just like watching the video. He's like, oh, there's one rep. He's kind of like breaking down like how it's all
Right.
no reps.
Out of 25, he got 3 or
Just
something like that.
bastarding him. I'm like, geez, this guy's ruthless.
Hill's on a whole nother level. A whole nother. Did you see he posted some, it was actually a share of something, basically being like, hey, I'm walking away from CrossFit, da 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 da. But it was a potential investor that was like, yeah, I'm kind of done. I'm not gonna pursue it. Everybody thought it was him being like,
Saying
hey, I'm
he's
moving
walking
on.
across-
Yeah, like I'm moving away from CrossFit, and like people were losing their minds. He's
Really?
like, guys, I just shared this. This isn't me.
It's funny how people lose their minds over stuff.
Of all things, that's what you could lose your mind over.
What else we got, Tyler? What's happening in the world right now that we could talk about? I feel like you have your ground to the year.
Me? My ground
Yeah.
here? I'm trying to think about anything really spicy in the space. I think everybody's fired up for the Open right around the corner. Everybody's starting to draw their party lines on where they're going, what they're doing,
Here you
planning
go.
their year for semifinals, that kind of shit.
Who's winning the Open? Male.
I almost made a joke, but it was going to be lame and inappropriate, and so I didn't say it.
I think now you should say it.
I was going to say Kale Lehman, but that would have been lame and inappropriate, as I said.
That's just
You see what I'm
stupid.
saying?
That's stupid.
That's what I said. I tried to tell you I didn't want to say it. I did not want to say it. I had to say it.
No, I think there was like another big pool of money floating around.
You can win some money.
No.
I mean,
Like
it's
if
worth doing.
he did it, people. I want to say it
Yes.
was up to like
They
20
raised, like,
grand or something.
20 grand, I think. I think I saw
Yeah.
the same thing. Where it's like, hey, if you do this, if you do it and prove your times or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. My money's on Colton Mertens for the
Yeah.
men. I think
think
he
so.
is just that he's built for like qualifier type workouts. He's built for
money's
other
on-
stuff too. He's a tremendous athlete. But
My money's
let's go.
Ooh.
Love that. You know the
See,
confidence
I-
that would instill in
No. Dude, I've done that with you how many times, and you keep
I know, and
fucking
every time I
failing
let
me.
you down.
Literally every time.
I've let you down every single time. Please don't pick me.
I actually don't think it's going to be Tudor because that's too early of a peak. Like, I think he'll do well. He'll be top 5, but I don't think he's going to win it. He's got bigger things to prove.
females.
Who's actually doing it?
Females are tricky because you got some. I'm more unfamiliar on the female side of some of the qualifier type. Like the girl that won last year that won like every workout. I never even heard of this chick, with all due
Yeah.
respect. Like and then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, well, she win again. She'll repeat. I'm like, but I still kind of don't know who she is.
Right.
And that's probably on me as a fan, but still.
Because Horvath is right? She's out. She's whatever on her
On her own.
Is she out?
on her ethical crusade. or
I don't know
whatever-
that she's
whatever it is
publicly
she's
said
on.
she's out. I think she's just, everyone assumes that she is out.
Miriam von Rohr.
Von Rohr. Yeah, that's the girl that they were saying was like another one that's like kind of built for that qualifier type, high turnover, fast twitch kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let me see here.
Dude, I think it's gonna be some not nobody, but some like teenager girl that, hasn't really broken through yet. I feel like we're seeing more and more in those on the women's side. Dude, Kristen Holta got 7th in the Open last year. That's
crazy.
She's savage.
insane.
She's
Insane.
savage.
And then she jumped on a team because her teammate got hurt, supposedly. How about that for an alternate?
Seriously.
What a monster.
All right. Team.
Now we're talking, boys.
They
Now
don't
we're
have a
talking.
team for Open, huh?
No. Well, they do, but you won't know who the team is. And the way they do it is stupid because you can list anybody in your affiliate on your team roster. And then after that, for like an actual semifinal, then you have to declare who's on your 4-person team.
11-24 finished 8th last year's Open.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
bro.
bad, right? And that was with our like actual scores.
Osa Krieger finished 4th. That's crazy. I mean, first, but with a total point score of 4.
But again, you look at their like athletes, and Kristen Holta would have been count. Now she ultimately ended up being on their games team, but she did not do semifinals. She was their alternate for semifinals,
Yeah.
and then the girl got hurt like a month out or whatever it was. So these gyms that have these like and I'm not picking on, but like Think Tank would be one, or Mayhem, or any of these other ones where like they sign up their team, and Travis Mayer was on like all 3 workouts as their score.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, wait a minute, he's not going to do it. He's on a team. So all of a sudden they dominate the Open. And then they go put a lesser team, whoever it was, actually in the games is just different. But anyway, A little sidebar for you. Piss me
All
off.
right. So where does 11-24 finish at the games this year? Whoa.
Number one, for those that can't see, number one, our goal is to win the games.
Can you though?
And there's going to be, yeah, we can. There's going to be, there's going to be some workout dependent. I think there probably is with everybody. We're not going to win the running event, but we are going to have the chance to win multiple strength events to offset our poor run. And then everything else, so it comes down to fitness. We feel really good about the 4 we got. Really good about the 4 we got. We're not training this weekend, actually. All 4 of us getting together. So
Do you
it'll
have
be
people
fun
that
to
can't run?
get down. We have one. I'm an above average runner. I consider myself to be a good runner. Brandon is an elite runner.
Yep.
Like 18-minute 5K, elite runner. And then, Jess, mechanically, if you haven't seen her, look her up on YouTube. She's not biomechanically set up to run. She's 5 foot, 3 pounds, rock solid. Running's hard.
I bet you if Ryan programmed for her, she could be a good runner.
Listen, you said it, not me, but
We've already talked about this.
we've had conversations.
It's 2026. How can you not run in CrossFit?
She runs, and it's funny because, dude, this is actually sidebar. Funny conversation I had this morning. We were having this conversation like, well, how do you get better at it? I'm like, well, you can incrementally get better at it, but also then you get into like, how much time and training value do you want to put into something where you're going to braze it from? Like we got dead last in the long run last year.
Yeah.
Now we had 2 athletes, or we had a male athlete finish second to last. It wasn't me. And then we had Jess finished second to last on the female side of all the females and all the males respectively. And so we got 20th place, 2 dead last. And so you ask yourself the question of like training value and training time and recovery time and all these things that go into it to move the needle how far? Like if we go from 20th to 17th to 15th, you're not going to go from 20th to 8th, right? Like you're just not going to make that big of a leap. So, probably the conversation is from a programming and planning standpoint of like, where's your best bang for your buck type thing. And that's not just talking about Jess. I'm talking about just in general.
Yeah.
I would definitely play devil's advocate with that. I think closing that gap is actually priority 1.
So that you can just pick up those.
That's actually what I was going to say. If you're trying to win, that gap's got to be closed before anything else.
You got to be less polar. You have to be less polar in your strengths, and you have to be more consistent across the board. You can't have weaknesses and win the CrossFit Games. We're too far gone, or too far past that. So yeah, I would argue that actually needs to be the priority. And I mean, she's so good on a bar. She can sacrifice her barbell to get better at running.
Yeah.
And I'm totally fine saying that. Like she has a background in gymnastics, right? Dude,
she's nasty gymnastics.
She doesn't need gymnastics. And to be fair, they very well could be doing that. Like I have.
So
I frankly have no insight.
She can crush a barbell and she can crush gymnastics. And I assume she can crush like intense workouts.
And see, so what's funny about her is that she's powerful machines. She's aerobic. It's not a function of like not being aerobic. It's the act of running that she just blows her legs up. Like she doesn't. And it's funny even too, we've had running workouts where, at Seneca last year, we had 5 rounds of 300-meter run and then some gymnastics as well, toes to bar and handstand wall. And she did fine on that. We smashed it. So it's not running like even a shorter distance. She can hang and she can be fine. It's just when you start getting her into long 20-minute type runs and efforts and things, it's very hard for her.
There's definitely another podcast we can dive into this. I know Ryan's got a topic he wants to dive into. We got like 20 minutes, so let's do it.
Sweet.
Cool. So today we are movement quality versus load, finding the right balance. Jay and I had a mentorship call today, and one of our mentees wanted to dive into, class programming and, do we do individual approaches or did we program for our affiliates? And kind of like, how do you balance these template generic, one size fits all programs within your affiliate, making sure everybody gets their needs met, knowing that some need to focus more on skill, movement quality, others need to get stronger, obviously, to, express the sport and be dangerous in the sport. And, where do we strike that balance? And I think the one interesting thing, if we're coming off current events that I found really interesting I heard Khalipa say he's never going to no rep anyone ever again. The only thing he cares about is effort. And although I understand that, and I believe I understand the sentiment he's trying to make, I think that's a bullshit statement to make. And I understand he's saying, like, standards aren't quite as important as effort, or at least that's the way I interpret it. But movement quality and a standard, to me, are the things that lead to longevity in the sport and ultimately allow for the expression of load. So I'm interested where you guys stand and kind of your approach behind it.
Go ahead, Ty.
I am a huge movement quality guy. I think that putting a lot of, like, let's say a guy just works his ass off and gets done, and he's super out of breath, super high heart rate, he really gave it his all, but he did quarter squat depth or whatever it is we're talking about. The squat's probably the easy one to kind of pick on. I just, there's so much more, in my opinion, from like an overall fitness and wellness type longevity conversation you're talking about. So much more utility and full range of motion than giving. And again, the funny thing about that argument is giving full effort. Well, full effort meaning like how fast are we moving type thing. Full effort means just squat deeper type of thing, right?
I think effort based on the person, right? Like, is this person trying hard?
Well, again, that would be my question of, like, when you say I'm not going to no rep them, as long as they're giving me full effort, I'm happy. No, they're just moving faster. If they're not squatting to the depth, they're not fully locking out overhead. Like, those aren't, and it takes a little bit more effort to stop and actually get locked out or go to full depth on a squat than it does to just half-ass it. But I'm moving faster, so I'm giving it hard effort. I'm breathing hard. My heart rate's up. And this isn't Orange Theory where that's like all we're measuring is, oh man, he really gave it some effort today. Like, I need to see you try to get to full depth and full range of my issue as a coach when I'm in the gym and looking is like, how relentless do we stay on someone when, like, you get into lever lengths and, like, if a guy really can't squat, he really needs to spend a bunch of time developing the depth of the squat. Like, those are the gray lines of me. But if I can see someone in a warm up and they're ass to grass and then they get in the workout and they're not, he's giving me full effort because he's going fast, right? But he's not giving me full effort because he's not hitting we'll use the word, the standard, but he's not hitting depth and he's shortchanging the movement quality for that.
Well, I think what he's talking about are two different things. You have biomechanical limitations versus cheating, right? Like, you can achieve the position and you're choosing not to. I don't necessarily think he's talking about that. He's just like, if a person can't pass below parallel in a wall ball for X, Y, and Z, whether ankle or hip or like whatever it is, he doesn't care about like no repping that person because the person is still putting forth the effort, right? And he would much rather see the expression of effort in the gym versus an arbitrary standard within CrossFit, which I understand. I'm not arguing for a standard within the sport. I actually, unless you're an elite level athlete or someone on that competitive track, then you need to care about the sport specific standard. Outside of that, I don't give a shit about the sport specific standard whatsoever. I care about biomechanical movement quality. And I think that is where the argument in and of itself lies.
I got you.
Like, based on
sense.
your structure, are you moving with the highest level of quality possible, right? So more of a human first approach to movement quality versus a sport approach to movement quality.
I got it. That makes better sense.
Am I up?
Send it.
Yeah, I think the first touch on your first statement with what Khalipa said, if someone, like, I've never no repped anybody in my gym unless they're a competitor. Like, I can give a fuck.
Yeah.
To me, I look at like their ability just to move, they're here, they're exercising. Now, yeah, I know there's some people who cheat it, who count reps, or just first have some ego issue of having to finish first or whatever. And I'll kind of hover around them and I'll instruct them. But if they're going to continue to do this, I don't know, we're getting off track based on the questions. Anyways, competitors, yeah, no rep them in my gym. People here for fitness and fun, I don't no rep. I'll more try to coach them through it. If people are cheating it, I'll kind of question them in a one-on-one setting. I'm not going to embarrass anybody. Whatever. If you want to cheat it, you want to cheat. That's it's your shit. But I think based off movement quality versus load, I always look at it from a perspective of, if you go through the continuum of it from, do they possess proper flexibility? Do they possess proper mobility? Do they have structural integrity? Do they have joint stability, joint integrity. Then can they have the neurological connection of proper movement? Then can they move properly with no load? Then can they move with load? And then from there, gradually increase it and progress it. So I think I heard your question correctly, but correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. It's like, what do I favor more, movement quality or load? Is that your question?
I don't even know if that's realistically the question. I guess more so what's your opinion? Like there's a balance between the two, right? We're never going to turn everybody into these, perfectly sculpted. This person can pass through every,
Right.
primal movement pattern with perfect efficiency, with no compensatory patterns. Like that's not realistic. So where do you kind of draw the line of, okay, this person moves well enough to begin drawing or to begin like loading things up, and how do you approach that from a conversation
Great
and
question.
kind of like guide them long term of like, hey, maybe this isn't the movement you want to load up super heavy for X, Y, and Z reasons.
Yeah. All right. That makes total more sense now. So I first gauge based off those standards and that continuum I said earlier, right? We take them through and we as coaches understand that they can first move well. And let's just say for the sake of conversation and this podcast and time that we know that they can move well. They expose proper flexibility, mobility, proper ranges of motion. They have structural stability. They have joint stability, joint integrity. Their body can sustain and bear the weight. Now we start thinking about load. And I always first look at how can I load them up heavier first in a way where for the most part, they can control the safety of the movement, right? For instance, I'm going to overload their lunges, right? You can't do it. Drop the fucking lunges, stand up, right? As opposed to like overloading a squat. And I start from basically, I can almost, I guess, say a unilateral perspective and even sometimes a supported unilateral perspective as best I can, depending upon the equipment. Like I might go heavier. I might try and do overload like dumbbell rows, overloaded T-bar rows, overloaded pull-ups. Is the range of motion and movement quality going to be great? Probably not, but I know a couple things. Number one, I'm trying to overload the nervous system from a weight that it's probably not used to. And I want to do it in a manner that's not going to structurally hurt them or harm them if something doesn't quite happen, right? And I always start from that thought process first. And I'm okay if some movement qualities are a little bit off because my head is like, okay, I'm trying to drive heavier neurological stimulus right now versus like perfect movement quality. Because we all know, just like in life, no matter what we do, in order to continually drive progress, we have to drive a stimulus and a stressor for that. And some people need to be overloaded because they're not hitting the proper weights, percentages, reps, sets, training velocity, volume, intensity in order to acquire it with like perfect movement quality, right? So at some point, once you get outside that from a stimulus and an adaptation perspective, there might be some movement quality variance, some movement quality degradation, but you don't want it to be so bad that it can cause discomfort or harm. Meaning if I stick with like just a lunge, I don't want to overload it and have, the knees cave in, the back's fucking rounding. Like I got to make sure that the essence of safety are there, but if something goes wrong, they can still maintain proper safety positioning and they can bail out of it in a safe manner, if that makes sense. And I start there. And once they possess the quality for that, and I can see that, and depending upon their training age, I can then think about more overloaded principles that might have some, I don't want to say degradation of movement quality, but maybe potentially not full, 100% movement quality, meaning we might do overloaded squats where I'm going to overload them, or overloaded front rack holds or overloaded front squats. And we might not be hitting full depth, but I'm overloading that nervous system with the weight in that positioning, right? Or overloaded rack pulls. Other things that are like a limited range of motion, but more heavier weight. And I might hit a cycle with that. But again, I got to ensure that even though it's overloaded, we're doing the movement, their body is in their structure and they're going back through that continuum. Their mobility, their structure, their stability is all intact, where if it's too overloaded, there won't be a harmful act put in place, right? So generally, if I think of an overloaded principle, I'm staying like between 105 to 115. Potentially max I'll ever go is 120% of the movement lift itself for what I'm trying to create. So I guess to sum up that ramble, I always start with quality, and I make sure that quality is ensured. Once the quality is ensured, I'll progress to a safe overload, but the quality itself might not quite be there from a range of motion, never a safety perspective. Once that's there and established, I'll then I will potentially hit a cycle for the people who can do it. I never really do this in a general pop class of an overloaded like bilateral, open in or closed chain movement quality.
Yeah. I kind of took some notes during what exactly you said. And like, to recap what I think you said, like, slow people down. Can you actually maintain position under load? Like if we're talking defining movement quality, I think it's important that we do that. And it's not just about like, hey, can you do a lunge? Can you do an air squat? Can you do a push up? It's bigger than that. When you start bridging the gap of movement quality to load, it's okay, can you do the lift and can you maintain the position under that specific load, right? Like 30% versus 100%. Can you repeat that pattern under fatigue, which is like really important for a sport? Like where does the technical breakdown start to happen? Is it from a heart rate standpoint? Is it from a volume standpoint of a specific load? Like where do we see that breakdown? And then can you adapt? Like, can you keep yourself safe when things go wrong? So exactly what you're training, like, or exactly what you're talking about, bailing and getting yourself out of harm's way, or being able to adjust and compensate to a movement, or, if you're doing like synchro stuff or whatnot, do you actually possess that skill set to keep yourself safe?
100%. You just said something that I didn't even fucking think about until you just said it. There's also this conversation, which we could have in another podcast, about movement quality versus load in regards to intensity and volume from an energy system perspective, right? Not just like I kept it more like weight bearing and strength training, right? But, going back to Tyler's teammate with running, I've utilized this a lot where if I'm working with someone, I'm going to address the protocol of the workout beforehand. Like, hey, I'm going to bring you to a very uncomfortable, high intense spot, and then I'm going to coach you through it from a mechanical standpoint. And I tell them that beforehand because we've all been there as athletes and people. We're super stressed, fucking hurting. For me, the last thing I want to hear is someone barking instructions in my ear. I'm like, I can't even do that, right? So I preface it what's about to happen so they can be ready, right? And then let's just say for the sake of conversation, we're going to be doing, 400 meter sprints. I'm going to overload that pacing for them at one that I know will probably have some sort of movement mechanical breakdown. Let's call it like the 300 meter mark, right? I'm like, okay, now we're coming upon the 300 meter mark, and now I'm coaching their mechanics through this breakdown, overloaded aspect for them at a pace that's faster than what they can pretty much sustain. And now I'm talking about mechanics. We head high, breathing principles, a leg drive, whatever I want to say, whatever I think is causing them to teach them the head. Once they feel that kick in the workout, they can now coach themselves through it from an intensity, from a mechanical intensity perspective. That can occur with muscle ups, handstand, muscle ups, pull ups. Like you're coaching the athlete through mechanical breakdown and high intense moments. And it's actually teaching them how to coach themselves when they feel it. Cause you can almost as a coach be like, okay, listen, this might happen. You've been here, you've coached this before, because your brain automatically kicks in. Oh, I've been here before. Ryan coached me through this point like this. Okay, this is what I'm going to focus on. Here are my KPIs once I feel my breakdown. And how the athlete can kind of click that in versus feeling that intensity and that overloaded effort and being like, oh, fuck, I'm dead, right? And then the brain's like, okay, I'm in trouble. I'm fucked. It's got to be able to click over to where it's been before, which is XYZ for execution.
No, that makes perfect sense. We should definitely do that podcast. That would be a really worthwhile topic. Kind of moving on to load. I think the two things that come to my mind when we're making this relationship of movement quality to load is I don't believe that load is ever I don't think load's the enemy. I think poor progression is, and a poor strategy to expose people to load is the thing that hurts them. And especially now that we're coming into open season and looking at what athletes could be exposed to, during the season is where we can start to go wrong. Where if you went through a big strength cycle in the off season, and then maybe you spent a little bit less time, or, a significantly less time touching on strength specific work because you're so biased on the conditioning side, you see a workout that's a 20-minute AMRAP and then you got to hit a 1RM clean. You're not really setting your athlete up for success because you never put them in those progressive training situations to expose them to heavy loads under fatigue. And then I think the last thing I want to say is realistically, load exposes movement inefficiencies, right? So that's something we really do have to take into account is when we are loading up athletes, when you're working athlete, whether it's in RPE or percentage or whatever your strategy is, you want to start looking at how the compensatory patterns start to present themselves, right? Like 60% is going to look different than 80%, right? Or like 80% and beyond. And you can start really seeing like, how does the body need to contort itself to problem solve the weight? Like everything to me is a problem, right? It's a problem that needs to be solved. And the body is always going to organize itself in either an efficient or an inefficient way to move the load. And the inefficient ways are the things we want to identify as coaches so we can get ahead of that, fix the problem before it comes a long-term regression and we have to pull back in training.
I think that's a mic drop. I think if we were to do a drinking game, every time the word load was said, you could take a sip of whatever you're drinking.
Big load podcast.
And I'm going to make a note. You said load is not the enemy. Load is only the enemy if you're on the receiving end from that night in a night of 7 kingdoms.
From that killer night you were talking, a 65-year-old dude. Yep.
Yeah. That's when, oh man, guys, we hope you enjoyed the show. Load is not the enemy, poor progression is. There was a lot of nuggets dropped in this podcast. We hope you guys got a lot out of it. Stay in tune for the next one. If you guys have suggestions on things you want to hear us ramble about, feel free to drop us a note. Also, please check out the Coach RX podcast channel. You can have some amazing podcasters there talking about fitness and some other stuff, as well as check out Candace's Instagram handle and her YouTube channel. She does a lot of awesome information on marketing. And marketing for fitness coaches. So be sure to check that out. Give it a like, follow, share, all the fun stuff. And if you can, let's give a round of applause for Tyler's amazing hair today. That is spot on. I'm just looking at that. Got lost in it.
Pretty solid there, huh? It's coming in nice. I'm getting it cut tomorrow and go clean up on the sides. But I appreciate you noticing that.
Tyler, Ryan, anything in closure? Yes.
Except the ones about load.
No, especially the ones.
Later.
See ya.